Okay, here's the 2019 NRL Round 8 review. Some really interesting tales to come out of this weekend. I missed three of the games. I didn't watch three of the games because I just wasn't able to watch them. Only one home side lost, so it was very home team advantage this weekend. There was some big scorelines. There was some big scorelines, and I think only a couple of close games, but most of the scorelines were pretty big in one favour over the other team. There were some teams that really disappointed me this weekend. Let's have a look, shall we? The Rabbitohs hammering the Broncos 38-6. I don't know what else there is to say about the Broncos. I'm going to do a video on the Broncos' struggles. I'm going to look at their for and against record. Some of the issues that they have. The halves issue. Now, Nicarima has now left the team. He's gone to the Warriors, so they've shipped him off. James Roberts, he's been dropped for round 9, according to reports. There are issues with his off-field behaviour, with his things like that. That's an issue. That's been part of the problem. But let's have a look at it in a nutshell. The Rabbitohs won the game by half time. There was some highlight reel tries, some tries of the season candidates in here. It was so one-sided. I've never seen a Broncos side this bereft of confidence, bereft of leadership, bereft of organisation. Is that on Anthony Seibold or on the players, or is it a mix of the two? I'm going for a mix of the two because Anthony Seibold did really great things with this Rabbitohs side that gave a solid platform for this season. And that's one of the things we're going to look at was the Seibold Wayne Bennett switch of coaching roles done too early. I think it should have waited until the end of this season, which was the initial plan. And both teams agreed to move the plan forward a year. Seibold could have had a second solid season with the Rabbitohs, really cemented his reputation as a good young coach, and given him confidence going into the Broncos, possibly one of the most famous clubs in rugby league history, and the most successful club in NRL history. He's taken on a very big job with the Broncos. Wayne Bennett has a good working relationship with some of the Rabbitohs players and the Burgess brothers. He coaches them for England. He's got a good working relationship with them. That would help get his message across. Plus, he's inherited a team that's pretty solid anyway, with Origin reps in it, past and present, international reps in it, past and present, Premiership winners in it. He's inherited a solid side that doesn't need, too much work doing to it. Let's be honest. This was the best performance the Rabbitohs have put out all season, because they've not been playing well, but they've been winning games. This was a statement game by the Rabbitohs. The Broncos, we've got to look at their forward pack. They clearly, I think, are possibly now regretting not extending Sam Thaiday or getting him to play another season. I think that Wayne Bennett moving on to the Rabbitohs a season early is part of the reason why I think he decided to retire. Losing Corbin Sims, losing Maguire to the Cowboys, that forward pack is now very inexperienced. The back line, Nicarima's now gone. Milford, is he really a half or should he be a fullback? Is Darius Boyd the right guy to be captain, because he's really had a poor season? Corey Oates is the only player who can regularly score tries, and if you can shut him down, or I wouldn't say man mark him, but stop that outball to him from the halves and the dummy half and the halfbacks, you can pretty much shut down the Broncos. The forward pack is young and inexperienced and is basically losing the collision. They've got some very young talented players in Fafita and others, but they're young and talented. They're not the finished article. The Rabbitohs slaughtered them. It was done by half time. Second half, just going through the motions at times, and even then the Rabbitohs could and should have scored at will. There is no doubt in my mind that the Broncos are in for a tough season. Is it Anthony Seibold's fault? We'll discuss that in a special video that I'm going to do on the Broncos. I have to look at them in a nutshell because I can't waste too much time on this review, basically. The Cowboys-Titans, these are another two sides from Queensland struggling. The Titans, though, had back-to-back wins coming into this round. They played the Cowboys. The Cowboys have had a stuttering season themselves. Both had 2 wins when they came into this round. The Cowboys now come out of this round with a 5-3 record, which looks a lot better than a 6-2. And they scored points for the first time heavily in a while. And their defence was reasonable. The Titans losing Michael Gordon early on with the concussion, I think, disrupted them. It did. It had a massive impact on the game. The Cowboys, Jake Granville, key. Jake Granville was key because he played very well. He's been off form for a season or so. He's not been at his best. He played very, very well. This is the Jake Granville of 2017 and 2015. Stepped up over the weekend. Got a good try. Gave quick play the ball. Quick ball distribution, something that they've been lacking. Taumalolo's back. He's not 100%. We know that. They've got to watch that knee and see how he goes. Maguire went off injured. Looks like a calf or foot injury. That will be assessed. But overall, the Cowboys had a solid showing. The Titans, is this a one-off because they were coming with a lot of confidence? Was it due to the injuries in the game? Mark Gordon going off, for example, a bit of rearranging of the backline. Will they bounce back next week? It is the Magic Weekend. It's going to be interesting, but both these sides are playing better than they were earlier in the season. They've started to be a bit more competitive. The Titans, okay, they won 2 in a row. You're not going to win every game. The Cowboys, that was a solid statement win, saying that we're not as bad as our league position suggests. And there are grassroots shoots coming through for both sides. But a team had to win this game. And it was the Cowboys. And they had doubled the score of the Titans. So, for every point the Titans scored, the Cowboys scored 2. So the Cowboys can take a lot from this game because they were playing a team that was on a win streak and they beat them. So that's something they can take confidence from. There are still issues with the Cowboys. I think they are lacking a little bit of leadership. They are missing Jonathan Thurston. He was a key leader for that side for so long. There is a bit of a vacuum there. There's a bit of a rebuild season going on as well. The Titans, they promise so much and then you're let down every season. So, can they get some momentum going? Because they lost the first 5 games straight. And going in 0-5 into round 6 wasn't great. They've now become more competitive, but they're still at the wrong end of the table. The Sharks Storm. This was not a result I was expecting in favour of the Sharks, but they got ahead. They got a lead. They showed more willing. They showed, they weren't going to be overawed by the Storm, considering the Sharks have got so many players out injured. So many. They put a solid performance. The Storm, there's some issues there. The Sharks put in a good game plan and it paid off. They made the Storm chase the game. They didn't allow the Storm to get into their way of playing, which is the arm wrestle necessarily. They didn't allow the Storm to complete sets. They put the Storm under pressure. A lot of mistakes by the Storm, uncharacteristic mistakes. And the Sharks ground out a win. Their backs are against the wall. They are missing a lot of players like Wade Graham, Matt Moylan. Fafita's not 100% with that knee. Josh Dugan, he's been out for a little while. He's come back in. They are missing a lot of players. They played very well. Considering that the week before they lost to the Broncos. Now, they were missing more players last week against the Broncos than this week. They still have a lot of inexperienced players being thrown in there, like Flanagan. They played very, very well. Credit should go to the Sharks for grinding out a win in tough circumstances. The Storm, I do have some worries about the Storm. I don't think they're as invincible as people think they are. They've started losing games, and they haven't blown teams out. And every single one of their games has been close and hard fought. Now that's the style of footy the Storm like to play. I'll admit that they like close, tight games, like controlling the game, grinding it out, and then in the last 20 minutes scoring the points. Didn't happen. They weren't allowed to imprint their pace on the game. But the Sharks disrupted that and did very well. Cronulla did very, very well. There are some warning signs for the Storm. If they go behind in games, the 2 games they have lost, they have been behind and had to chase. And while they came very close against the Roosters, there was a period in that game where they did not look great. And the Sharks also got into a 20-12 lead. And okay, yeah, the Storm scored late on, but it was too little too late. They're showing some signs of weakness. They're going to make finals footy, we know that. We know how solid the Storm are, but are they as solid and as strong as their league position suggests? That is a question I'm going to leave out there. Now we get on to the 3 games that I didn't see. The Raiders-Panthers. Great bounce back win for the Raiders, 30 points to 12 over the Panthers. Solid win on the road in Wagga Wagga, which I do miss the City Country games. Personally, I used to love City Country Origin, but I understand why they are taking games to the bush. I understand why the NRL are doing that, but I still think there is a place for City Country in the game. But the Raiders taking game on the road. Panthers falling short yet again. And I'm going to do a video on the Panthers as well, because the Panthers and the Broncos are really disappointing me with some of the quality players they have. They're really not. They're not performing at the level they should. And there's rumours that Maloney wants out. He's dismissed them, but those rumours are still persisting. The Raiders, though, good win, good bounce back win. But there is a sad, worrying note to this. 2 serious injuries out of this game. John Bateman, fractured eye socket. He's going to be out for 4-6 weeks. Isaiah Yeo for the Panthers, he dislocated his shoulder and is going to need season-ending surgery. He's out. He's done for the season. He is not coming back. Big blows for both sides. The Raiders, Bateman has really shone in the NRL. He's been an 80-minute forward, and he can also play in the back line as well. He's been inspirational in that forward pack. He's been important. He's been a physical presence. He's been an agitating presence. He's been a front foot presence. How the Raiders are going to adapt to him being out for about a month. That's going to be interesting how the Raiders respond to his injury. The Panthers, though, I'm concerned about the Panthers. It's unravelling very, very quickly for them. They're not scoring enough points, and that's an Ivan Cleary problem. It's a known fact that his team's average score is a lot less than the league average. So I'm going to look at the Broncos' average scoring for and against, and the Panthers, because the Panthers are not performing very well with the quality they have at that side. Cleary, Maloney, in the halves, they're not performing as well as they should with the talent they have on their creative axis. The back line isn't scoring, the forward pack is misfiring, and injuries to players like Isaiah are not going to help. The Sea Eagles, Bulldogs, the Sea Eagles again are going under the radar. They really are going under the radar. They are just chipping away in these tight games, and they're winning them. They beat the Raiders last week in a close game. The Bulldogs, they beat them as well in a key game. They're chipping away. They're going under the radar. The Bulldogs, is going to be a rebuild season for them. It's going to be a hard season. It's going to be a learning season. They've got a lot of young players, much like the Broncos. They are lacking that leadership. They are lacking that experience in the forward pack, and it's obvious that this is a season for them to retool and learn and win as many games as possible. And when they want to play, they throw the ball around. They don't. It's not for want of trying, but they are lacking that experience. And when things go against them, their heads drop. They've had some good wins, but they've also had some heavy defeats. They can probably learn a lot from this. Looking at the Sea Eagles, a team that wasn't expected to be as good as they are. The Sea Eagles are chipping away and chipping away and chipping away, and they are going under the radar. And they're going to be quite a dangerous team, I think, going forward. They're just yet to fully open up and fully explode into doing what Parramatta did against the West Tigers, for example, or the Roosters have been doing all season. When they start playing some more free-flowing rugby league, then we'll see the true Sea Eagles. But they're just chipping away and just being slow and steady. They're doing what the Storm would like to do. Keep games tight, controlled, chip away and control the pace of the game. I haven't actually seen a lot of Sea Eagles games. I think I've only seen the one. So it's hard for me to give an accurate description of how the Sea Eagles are doing. But looking at the results I keep reviewing each week, they are chipping away and they're on this little win streak. And it's momentum building and it's confidence building. And eventually they'll relax a bit more, relax into the game and open up and start showing what they really are capable of. Roosters versus the West Tigers. Latrell Mitchell show, really, isn't it? Again, didn't see this game, which is frustrating because apparently it was the performance of a team of the round. The Roosters are on fire. So what? They've lost Dylan Napa and Blake Ferguson, 2 of their key players from last year. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. The players they've got there are just having fun. They really are basically the favourites for the comp. I think between them and the Rabbitohs, there's your favourites right now. Right now, the Roosters and the Rabbitohs, I can see that being a grand final. The way these two sides are playing. The Roosters are just free-flowing at the moment. They were 20-0 up against the Storm. That doesn't happen. They put 42 points past the West Tigers, although Parramatta did put 51, but they're putting an average of, I think, 30-odd points on the board. They are just free-flowing. The amount of games they've had over 30 points is mad. 1 defeat, opening round to the Rabbitohs. They weren't at full strength. They were bedding in a lot of new players. They had obviously played the World Club Challenge the week before. Players were, not fully fit, missing. It doesn't matter. They have responded to that defeat and have looked pretty much unstoppable since then. The Storm came the closest, but They had a 16-minute spell where they scored tries. Apart from that, they were second best. The Roosters are dominating this league right now. The Tigers, that's another heavy defeat. Defensively, there are problems, and they are also not scoring enough tries. So, I don't know what the Tigers do. I really don't. Much like the Broncos and the Titans, their defence is not good enough. Not good enough. They took a hammering. Real hammering. Now we get on to the last two games of the weekend. The Warriors, the only home side to lose. And there's some really concerning signs of the Warriors now. I think the wheels have started to come off for them as well. The Knights win their third game of the season, back-to-back, and they win away from home. Mitchell Pearce is really stepping up to the plate. David Klemmer stepping up to the plate. The outside backs starting to step up to the plate. The Knights have clicked. Now they've got a lot of work to do to catch up to the teams ahead and to get into the finals conversation. They're a young, talented side now. Do they make finals? It's highly unlikely considering the start of the season they had. However, there are teams around them that are not playing well and they can leapfrog teams. They're starting to click and Mitchell Pearce is part of that reason. The last two games he has been outstanding. The forward pack has stepped up. The outside backs have stepped up. Ponga is starting to pull the strings from fullback. He's a fullback, he's not a half. He's suited to fullback, possibly on the wing if need be. He's really starting to come into his own as well. He's becoming more and more important to this side. The Warriors, there are some severely concerning signs. Now, Nikorima has come to join the side. He's left the Broncos. Defensively, they are a shambles. And they're at home against a Knights side that only won 2 games so far this season. Long losing streak. And then suddenly the Knights play a brand of football we haven't seen from them in a long time. Free-flowing, carefree attack, and it's paying off. And they played the ball so quick. The pace that Danny Levi is playing the ball, they play at a quick pace, and it suits them. They are a young side. They're a fun side. Unlike the Bulldogs, the Knights are now getting these wins. They also have that experience in key positions that the Bulldogs lack, for example, as a comparative team. The Warriors, a lot of concerns. Really, the wheels have come off for them as well. And defence is their issue. It's not scoring points. They can score points. It's defensively. And when the tries start being leaked, the heads go down. There are some sides here who really struggle defensively, and it is telling that every other team won at home apart from the Warriors this weekend. That's the stat of the weekend that I've taken out of it, is the Warriors are the only home team not to win. And they were beaten up by the Knights badly. They're now below the Knights in the table as well. The Knights are climbing the table. They're picking off teams above them. And there are some teams that are in freefall at the moment. Finally, we end up with the Eels Dragons. This was a fun game. The Dragons threw this away. The Dragons had this. They had this. They were 14-0 at one point? It was then 18-all. Finished 32 points to 18. The Dragons completely imploded in the second half. Corey Norman's gone off with a possible fractured eye socket. So, a broken cheekbone. Very similar to Bateman's injury. Michael Gordon's head injury. There's been some severe injuries. Sivo, was it late? Was it high? Yeah. Did he get away with it because the Dragons scored? Yeah. Does he go on and score another try later in the game? Yep. So there's going to be questions there. Late high challenge. It's a split second thing. You can see Sivo's trying to disrupt the pass. Ball and all tackle. It's mistimed. Apart from that, some of the tries scored. Unbelievable. Some of the tries scored in this game were unbelievable by both sides. Much like the Rabbitohs game, some of the tries in this game were try of the season candidates. Gutherson's 70-yard try, brilliant piece, brilliant one-off running. He's done that in several games now. Dufty's try, that's a team try. Sevo getting 2. There were some brilliant pieces of scoring on display in this game. But the Dragons in the second half could barely complete a set. They didn't have the ball for 10, 15 minutes. They shipped a lot of points. Defensively, they were all over the place. In attack, they were all over the place. They imploded after half-time. Unbelievably. Hunt kicks a ball dead, and then they don't touch the ball for a while. Don't complete a set for 10, 15 minutes. And the Eels, West Bank Stadium, they've scored a lot of points. They've scored 83 points in 2 games at the new West Bank Stadium. They like playing there, it seems. Their home form is what's going to get them into finals footy. Their away form has been starting to look a bit spotty, but their home form is what's going to get them into finals. I'm going to do a video on the Broncos. I'm going to do a video on the Panthers. They're the 2 sides that I want to look at in depth because of the way they've just fallen. The wheels have fallen off both sides. But there's the Round 8 review. Thank you very much for watching. This is a longer video than normal. There's a lot to talk about. Please like and subscribe. Place your thoughts below, and I will have some more videos for you very, very soon.